Hi, I'm Parvez Shalwani of Newsday, and this is Feed Me, the scoop on the Long Island dining scene. Today, we head to the Hamptons to learn how rosé became the Gatorade of the East End. Then, go to Port Washington, where we eat at Wild Goose. From there, we learn about the craze that is the Sushi Burrito, and finish up at Black Label Burger in Westbury. First up, rosé in Sagaponic. We're at Channing Daughters, where they have 7 rosés, a sparkling rosé, and even a vermouth now that comes in rosé. Let's see how much we can drink. So, when people walk in now, they see 7 rosé wines, 1 sparkling, and 1 vermouth. And they ask you what's your favorite. What do you tell them? Definitely smell some spring and summer fruits in this.
Well, I usually say the same thing is, well, who am I with? What's the weather? What am I eating? What am I not eating? That's one question and one answer. And the other answer is like, do I have a favorite child? I have 3 children. I'm not gonna tell you one's my favorite. It really just depends on the moment. So it's hard to answer that question. So it's just which one's
behaving badly that day, right?
Rosé is great not only because you can drink it on its own, as we said, it's a great food pairing wine. You know, there are so many. We have an annual rosé party for our wine club, and every year people come with more. Yeah, the pink party. They have shirts that say rosé all day or brosé or, you know, drink pink. Yes, we saw a couple.
This is how far we've come?
Yes, exactly. I mean, you can, I'm sure.
Dudes are wearing brosé shirts?
Yes, dudes are wearing rosé shirts. Yes, so it's definitely taken off. There's a lot of love for rosé, and people can't get enough all year long. Now they want it in magnums, and then they want it in sparkling and pink vermouth and pink cocktails, and you know, just the way people want to see it expressed just keeps expanding, and it's so much fun to play with. So
it's like almost like a head of beer. Did you guys think that rosé would become what it is now?
No, I had no idea. Really, none whatsoever. At the time, we made 1 rosé. It was a lovely and delicious rosé, but it was just 1 wine. It was released in the summer, a little bit of wine, and there it went. And now rosé is a year-round market. As you know, we make 7 of them, and it's quite different. You know, we make decisions on the crush pad. We look at the fruit that's coming in and we say, oh, this is beautiful. This is gonna make a killer red wine, or this is gonna make rosé. And I think that year we just said, wouldn't it be cool to see these different expressions? Wouldn't it be cool to see Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a 3rd grape as different expressions of rosé? And it was a little bit of an experiment, as much of what we do here is. And we saw that people loved it. They couldn't wait to taste 3 different rosés. And I think that at that time, people were just starting to understand, or to re-understand rosé, not as blush, not as sweet wine, as serious expressions of the terroir, of what the grape can do. And it took off from there. Look, we make wine for people to enjoy it. You know, you can take it really seriously, you can take it really lightly. You know, we take farming seriously, we take how we treat our land very seriously, and of course we take our product very seriously, but in the end we make something that gives people pleasure. So however they want to enjoy it, as long as it's responsible, we're happy for them to do it that way.
And so what ultimately are you looking for in the grape when you...
So and especially when we're talking about picking red fruit for rosé, one of the most important, obviously the most important, are aroma and flavor. But for me, acid is really a huge parameter. So the natural acidity in the wine, the tartaric acid, because we want the wines to have great juiciness and freshness and a refreshing quality that comes from that natural acidity without having to adjust it, to get it naturally, and all we have to do is ferment the grapes and not have to manipulate it or do anything. So acid is probably the marker more than anything, as opposed to sugar or pH or that sort of thing. From an analytical point of view, it would be the acid. From an organoleptic or taste point of view, it's the texture of the fruit, the quality of the tannins in the grape skins, and the flavor and the aroma.
So it's almost like, you know, a Darwinian quality to it. Like, you want to graduate to, you're like, if you're a grape at Channing Daughters, you really want to graduate to that rosé level, because that's what does
well, I mean, and it's also then there's a whole nother factor besides all those analytical and organoleptic evaluations. There's logistical and weather that comes into play too, especially with where we are, we get growing season rain, it's hurricane season, it's all of those things. So depending on the logistics of crew, we hand pick everything. So it's not like we can go in there with a machine and pick it in a couple hours. Sometimes it could take, a half a day, 2 days or 3 days to do a particular pick. So logistics will come into play as well. Weather will come into play that then drives logistics that drive. So it's a sort of a confluence of all of those factors.
Rosé has become the summer drink in the Hamptons, so much so that people have come to call it the Gatorade of the Hamptons, which makes some winemakers cringe. But we're here at Wölffer Estates, which exemplifies this explosion. In 1992, they used to have maybe about 80 cases or so of rosé. Now they sell more than 42,000 a year, and they have a hard time keeping it in stock even up until Labor Day. When you started making wine, did you know that rosé was going to be a cult wine?
Well, I came in '92, and the first thing I went to a party at Christian Wölffer's house, and it was this summer Hampton party. And I said, we should make a rosé. This looks like sort of an area that should drink rosé more.
What made you look at the Hamptons and say this is an area that should drink rosé?
Well, it reminds me of Sylt in Germany, where there's the beach, the people, the summer, the fun, different foods. And rosé is exactly that, for summer, fun, light, versatile. Well, this is our Noblesse Oblige. This is a rosé sparkling wine that we make. And this is, I think, a great statement for how classy Wölffer Estate is, that we make our rosé sparkling wine extra brut. So it's basically almost bone dry, very almost natural, very classic. Well, most people would make their rosé sparkle a little bit sweeter, let's say. Oops, there we go. There you go. It has lovely creamy texture. The yeast, from being 3 years with the yeast, that's the key. If you don't keep I would say if you keep the wine off, if you take the wine too early off the yeast, it's like ripping a child from your mother. And that's a bad thing.
I'm glad we all agree on that.
Exactly. So we want to give it, and that's what makes it taste like our wine here, because you can taste the grape skins, you can taste our yeast. And then you have these lovely apple citrus flavors, and a lot of this, of course, the mousse, the freshness from the CO2. Beautiful, elegant wine that you don't get tired of.
Very good.
So the first wine that we made was our gold label, the Wölffer Rosé. That's what we started in 1992. And it's a beautiful, we picked this a little bit earlier. So it's fresh, crisp, vibrant. It's like when you pick an apple. You can pick an overripe apple or overripe tomato, that's the worst thing. Mm-hmm. Or you can pick a tomato when it's fresh and ripe but fresh. And that's what we go after here. We want the fresh flavors, ripe flavors but fresh. And rosé should be playful.
Yeah.
Rosé should not be an overstatement, and that sometimes is the key. That less is more.
You still find men that come in here who...
You always say, "Oh, I'm a Cabernet guy," you know. And then when you see a rosé that has tannins, that has acidity, that has liveliness, well, I never thought I'd like this, but this I could drink. Or that's sort of the first statement. And finally, they hooked. And it's cool. Again, it's a fashion statement. It's just natural. It just fits.
Is this new?
This is now the 4th year we're doing our ciders, in sparkling ciders. And our white cider comes from the Halsey farm from Bridgehampton. This rosé cider, the apples come from a farm in Rochester, the Fisher farm. Hand-picked apples, we pick over 1.5 million apples by hand. It goes down easy, be careful.
Okay, and probably low alcohol too, yeah.
And talking about alcohol, then we make now since last year, this is the 2nd year, we made our Wölffer gin.
Okay.
We pick the juniper berries right up the stairs when you walk up the staircase. and we're distilling a rosé for this. I love this as well because we're not a distillery, meaning we have our own distill, but our livelihood doesn't depend on this. So I can be very generous with the cuts. I can throw away more of the head, can throw away more of the tail, and use only the purest, cleanest alcohol. And that's how it tastes. It's a very pure product. It's a fun gin.
Never seen a pink gin before.
Yeah, it's pink. Anything I touch turns pink.
Pink, exactly.
I think the first time I really got recognized for how I can cook was, I was probably about 15 years old. And I was with my friends, and my friends' parents went out of town, and we ended up raiding the freezer, and we ended up finding this turkey. And I took this turkey, and I wrapped it in bacon, and I was basting it in beer. And I think I put some maple syrup in it, and fresh herbs, and I made a meal for all my friends. And we all ate pretty well that day. So I like to cook the duck like 3/4 of the way on the skin side down. I like to get the skin nice and crispy and brown. It's pretty much ready to flip over. And at this point, I'll shut the heat off. And what I'll do is, you can see the line is pretty much, you'll see the cooked line is pretty much running halfway through the duck. So by this time you flip it over, pan's still hot, you still have a little bit of fat in there. And I'm just gonna let it carry over cooking. And that way it's gonna cook the rest of the way nice and slow, and it's gonna make a nice moist duck breast. With duck, I like to, even though they're farm raised, I still consider a game, so I like to go with like woodsy and like rustic style ingredients with it. So the farro really gives a nice, has a nice rustic taste to it as well.
Very beginning, people think I'm crazy. Sushi Burrito, they say, what? What are you talking about? People really likes it. Even the 7 years old kid want to have a Sushi Burrito.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
I could eat this whole day.
Thank you. Thank you.
We wanted to get a steakhouse quality beef at a fast casual setting and price.
So all we use here at Black Label Burgers is USDA prime beef. Another thing that we do is offer a dry aged upgrade. And what that is we take our USDA prime beef, put it in a room, and literally dry age it for a certain amount of days, which makes it more tender and flavorful by breaking down the enzymes. This is our dry aged patty. Little onions, tomato, label sauce. This sauce is so good, we had a customer tell us he's gonna pour it all over his wife every night. Hey, do what you gotta do. This is our basic Black Label burger.
Thanks for watching Feed Me. For more great island eats, go to newsday.com/feedme. And for more episodes of the show, watch us on your computer, Apple TV, Roku, or any mobile device when you download the Newsday app.